Welcome to The Explainer. It's wild, but a simple misunderstanding about just one single date ends up costing hardworking Iowa nurses hundreds of dollars in completely avoidable fees every single year. So today, we're going to give you a comprehensive, totally stress-free, step-by-step guide to renewing your Iowa nursing license.
Okay, let's just dive right into the biggest myth. Your nursing license doesn't just expire on some random day at the end of the year. Actually, it expires specifically on the 15th day of your birth month. And whether you're an RN, an LPN, or an ARNP, that 15th day is your universal deadline every 3 years. Honestly, just knowing this one single fact sets you up for success and prevents that awful sudden scramble. So, here's our game plan for today. We'll cover the stakes of renewal, continuing education requirements, the step-by-step renewal process, how to avoid common pitfalls and fees, and finally, troubleshooting and support. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the stakes of renewal.
We really need to look at the critical difference between your 30-day grace period and actually hitting inactive status. Because look, if you miss the 15th, your license doesn't just instantly evaporate. You enter a 30-day active grace period. Now, you're legally allowed to keep practicing nursing during these 30 days, but it does trigger an automatic $50 late fee. However, if you let those full 30 days pass, your license status completely drops to inactive. And at that exact moment, you are strictly prohibited from practicing nursing in the state of Iowa. Practicing without an active status is a serious violation, so we definitely want to avoid that.
Just look at the financial impact here. Missing that initial deadline bumps your standard $99 fee up to $149. But if you let it lapse into inactive status entirely, oh boy, you're facing a hefty $225 reactivation cost. Plus, you have the whole hassle of doing new background checks. The primary takeaway here? Timeliness literally pays off.
Moving right along to Section 2, Continuing Education Requirements.
So before you even log in to renew, the absolute crucial point here is that you need exactly 36 contact hours of continuing education, or CE, every 3 years, and it has to be from a board-approved provider. Also, if you regularly examine, attend, counsel, or treat dependent adults or kids, Iowa mandates that you complete specific abuse training, and that has to be provided directly by the Iowa Department of Human Services. For the ARNPs out there, you've also got to maintain your national certification. And here's the real kicker. All of these hours must be completed within your current renewal cycle. You absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, roll over hours from a previous cycle.
Now here's a super helpful and honestly kind of surprising fact for those of you meticulously tracking your hours. You can actually claim fractional credits for your courses. Basically, once you hit that initial 60-minute threshold of learning, the board allows you to claim credit in 15-minute increments. That equals 0.25 contact hours per chunk. It is just a brilliant way to make sure every single minute of your hard-earned education actually counts toward your total.
Okay, let's get into Section 3, the step-by-step renewal process.
When you're all geared up and ready, you use the state's completely paperless online system. It's pretty straightforward. First, just verify your exact expiration date on the public online verification system. Then log into the DIL or IBAN portal. Once you're in, you'll complete your legal declarations, update any personal details, confirm your CE is completely finished, and finally, just pay your $99 standard fee electronically. Keep in mind, the state of Iowa doesn't print or accept paper applications for renewals anymore, so the whole shebang is handled smoothly and digitally right there.
And you actually have a pretty generous window to get this done. The system allows you to renew up to 60 days before your expiration date. Now, a little caveat. Iowa law technically requires completion 30 days before expiration, but lucky for us, the board is currently waiving the monetary penalty for missing that specific 30-day mark. Still, honestly, the earlier you get it done within that 60-day window, the better you're going to sleep at night.
All right, Section 4, Avoiding Pitfalls and Fees.
Even with a simple system, things can go wrong. A major pitfall to avoid is thinking you can just submit your renewal application now and finish up your CEUs later. Nope, you absolutely cannot do that. The system strictly requires your CE to be 100% finished before you hit submit. A few other common mistakes? Forgetting to update a legal name or address change within 30 days, which is actually a legal requirement. Also, don't sit waiting by the mailbox for a paper license, because as we mentioned, Iowa is paperless. It isn't coming. And finally, just be aware that fee waivers are strictly for first-time applicants experiencing financial hardship. They aren't an option for standard renewals.
Here's another critical thing to keep in mind, and it involves the number 12. If you start an application, get distracted, and just leave it sitting open in the portal,
You only have 12 months to complete it. After 12 months, that open application is completely archived, and any documents you submitted, they're destroyed. You'd literally have to start the entire process all over again and repay those fees. Nobody wants that.
Which brings us to Section 5, Troubleshooting and Support.
Let's tackle a few what-ifs. First question, what happens if life just got incredibly busy and you completely missed that 30-day grace period? Well, as we established earlier, your license is now officially inactive, which means you cannot work.
So, to get back on the floor, you have to submit a formal reactivation application through the portal. You'll need to submit solid proof of your 36 CEUs, and they have to have been completed within the prior 36 months. You also have to go through a completely new background check, which means tracking down and submitting 2 completed fingerprint cards and a background waiver. Oh, and you'll be paying that elevated $225 fee. To top it off, if your license happens to have been inactive for 5 or more years, you'll actually need to complete an official nurse refresher course.
Okay, next question. Who exactly do you contact if you get locked out of your account or you just have a really highly specific issue?
Direct communication is definitely your best bet here. You can easily reach out to the Iowa Board of Nursing via email at ibn@dial.iowa.gov. Now, if you're having an issue with your portal account, like maybe you forgot your username, whatever you do not just create a second account. That causes massive delays in the system. Instead, just pick up the phone and call the licensing staff directly at 515-725-9022.
Now, I do need to give a quick official disclaimer. While this explainer gives you a fantastic roadmap to navigate the process, always remember to verify your specific requirements and your exact expiration date directly with official state resources via the Dial or IBOM portal. Regulations and processes can and absolutely do change, and maintaining your professional standing is ultimately your responsibility.
So, with all this in mind, I want you to take a look at your calendar right now and ask yourself, is your 36-hour CEU tracker fully up to date right now? Or are you risking that $149 late fee and your ability to work on the 15th of your next birth month? Seriously, don't wait until the last minute. Get your hours in, log onto the portal, and keep your professional license active, secure, and stress-free.